Hey guys, you're watching a Starcraft 2 co-op critic. I am CTG, and this time I am observing a replay of a Fenix player called Vice Shot. He is level 9 sub-mastery, but that does not really matter for this particular replay.
You might want to help me fill. Amon's using Tarsonis' old train system to ship some
He's just starting his worker production first, and he does start a pylon, so that's nice.
Maybe you do. What do you say?
Let's speed this up a bit. So yes, as I mentioned, it's Zerg enemy because there's creep on the sides of the map. He starts a gateway and another pylon. That's actually a bit strange. I don't think he needs to start this pylon when he's already 8 supply above the cap. I would actually recommend that he saturate his mineral line first. Add on some mud or something. Well, no, I just have common sense when I'm building things. He does send workers to saturate his gas, but now he's queuing up 3 workers at a time. He usually don't want to queue more than 2 workers at a time because that's an inefficient use of resources. You see here, yeah, he's flowing 260, but he's not rushing out the Legionnaire. The Legionnaire is what you need to break down these rocks, and you always want to expand as fast as possible. And he's starting another pylon, even though he's 11 supply above the cap. Another pylon. This is a strange build. Okay, so this is going to be one of those times, apparently. Forge completes, but he's I wonder what he's doing out of this. He chronos the warp gate, and that is actually a good idea. You want to chrono out your warp gate so you can get out your army. But what is he doing? He has an idle probe here, and he's not really using his gateway, even though he's starting a second one. Okay, he's starting the Caldalos research, but he actually needs a Legionnaire to have this research be useful. And you can see the blade on the sprite thing has green color on it. That is nice.
Research has controlled armed and ready. So the enemy seeks to attack our base, they will regret it.
What is he doing?
Our foes shall become our resources. An enemy brood wishes to challenge me.
So he has a forge, a cybernetics core, and a bunch of gateways, but he's not really producing anything out of them. Okay, now he's saturating his other gas, but he still has not started to take his expansion, and that is a bit concerning. Since as Fenix, your strength is really in your army since they are cheaper. So that's why you want to produce them as early as possible.
Leaving its station now. Destroying it is your main objective.
Also, there's no sense in going for 6 gateways.
Get ready to move out.
Since you cannot have production out of them at this stage of the game. Ideally, you want to take your expansions first and then go to 6 production structures. As you can see, these production structures right off the bat are not really useful at this point in the game. So these are wasted 600 minerals, and you'd rather have them spent as either cannons or as Caldalos to break down these rocks and expand. Instead, you're left with 19 workers on your main base with some saturation on your geysers. But yeah, he's researching.
Slay them to the last.
He's researching Phoenix attack. Or as you can see on my side, I already have 3 hatcheries, 2 base saturation, working on my hydraulic upgrades, and yeah, he is okay. He wasted a bunch of solar cannons on a single wave. Yeah, that could have been handled by a single solar cannon. Now he's wasting. He's making a double Twilight Council. This is an extremely puzzling build. He's pulling 1,000 minerals, and he has 6 idle gateways. Yeah, he really needs Okay, now he's trying to expand, but 7 minutes just breaking down these rocks with a single unit
The
is
enemy's biochips will provide us resources.
really not ideal. He is at 55 supply, and yeah, I didn't think he needed to make all those extra pylons early on in the game. There's really no need. If you're playing as Fenix, you just want to expand as early as possible. I know he's level 9, but even level 1 should know how to expand first before making 6 idle gateways. He's had these since I think around the 2-minute or 3-minute mark, and now they've been idle for 5 minutes. And now he's researching Talus, but he doesn't even have Caldalos yet, so at least break down his rocks. Okay, he's getting his expansion finally, but he still hasn't made any units. You should have at least you should have at least Caldalos and a bunch of carriers at this point. I mean, I would talk normally about what what unit composition you should be going for. For this composition, Balix and Scourge, you ideally want to have maybe scouts and a bunch of derps, maybe some carriers to try and confuse the enemy AI. Although of course that has been patched in the recent patch, such that the Scourge and the enemies now go more for the carriers themselves rather than the interceptors. Okay, this is something he did right. He already researched the psionic projection upgrade, and now his derps will have double the damage output because they use the shade things. The derps use the shade things, and those shades will attack, and that will double his damage output. His two main issues really are that he's building a bunch of things that he doesn't really need at the moment. You can see he has a bunch of pylons. He has 126 supply cap, but he has so many idle production structures. It's really puzzling. He spams all his minerals on a bunch of buildings that he doesn't really need yet. And he's chrono boosting his forge that is not really producing anything. So what is he looking at? Okay, so what he's doing right at least is that he's rushing out his saturation whenever he has the bandwidth. He's making higher tech buildings, but you really want to produce out of your buildings. He has the right idea of getting the buildings, yes. It's just that he's not actually using them. Okay, so he's saturating his expansion, and now he's getting. What is he getting? Mojo. Okay, that's good.
The enemy has attacked our allies.
Mojo is actually pretty good. Now he's getting a fleet beacon for Karis, I presume.
Trains on that bottom track are faster than the others. You can try and stop them, but you gotta be quick.
Okay, so at this point in the game he has 7 units. I wonder what he's saving up for. Okay, I feel like I'm just gonna repeat the same commentary over and over again, so let's speed this up a bit.
There is no escape from
Okay, so at least he's engaging now, and he's actually using a bunch of gateway units and a bunch of conservators. Okay, this is something that I will comment on. He has 4 conservators and he's not really using them. The only use for conservators in this game is to use the this protective fields. But since he's not using them, they're mostly idle. They're not that great in terms of damage output. I'd rather have the higher tech units. And he's making conservators as his main army, and this could be good for a troll build, but for a troll build, he's not really macroing well. The point of troll builds is to have decent enough macro to make the most use as you can out of those units. But okay, now he's saturating his gas. He realized that he's only flowing 200 minerals or 200 gas, whereas he has 1500 minerals.
Our base is besieged.
And what is he doing now?
Good job torching those trains. From the intel I've been provided, I'd say half their stock is in flames.
Okay, this is good. He has gateways on 6, robos on 5, or wait, gateways on 4, robos on 5, and stargates on 6. But he really should be producing out of those. You can see that he is only producing a single observer, a single immortal, and a single scout, or yeah, 2 scouts out of these. Whereas he does have the bandwidth to be producing more legionnaires at least. I know that legionnaires are quite supply inefficient, but if you're filling this much, you might as well, right? And now he finally, as if he read my mind or something. Okay, he's researching another pair of Twilight Council upgrades, but ideally he should have just researched those out of a single Twilight Council instead of a pair. Now he's floating another set 30 supply. Okay, let's speed this up again.
The enemy has attacked our allies.
Attack incoming.
Okay, he does have a decent sized army now, but that army actually consists of legionnaires, conservators, and not the ideal units you want to have versus Bailey's Scourge composition. He does have an observer, that's good. But mostly he's just really looking around. Okay, I think he's trying to go for a balanced composition with a bunch of legionnaires, derps, and conservators. But if you want to get that kind of composition, you really want to have at least a measure of micro, so you can use the conservators. Since conservators are spellcasters, and you use them to use protective fields on your army so they can survive longer. If you're not using these conservators for protective fields, you're wasting them basically.
Your allies' base is besieged. Your allies are in battle.
Again, same comment. Idle buildings or idle warp gates. He is researching. Okay, this is.
Looks like the enemy is heading for us. Let's go.
If you're Phoenix, you want to research the thermal lands before observer speed, because Colossus are your primary damage units, and you really want to research damage output first in co-op. Otherwise, you're asking to be carried. Okay, now he has a decent-sized army. You can see that he's actually looking pretty good. But let's actually see the supply count. Yeah, of course, I'm pretty much maxed out, and he's sitting at 168. Whereas he really should have enough to max out by this time. Is he using? Oh yeah, now he's using my Omega Orbs. That's actually great. Not a lot of players I've seen actually know how to use the Omega Orbs, but at least he's doing that right.
You take him out, Amon's mad, and I'm happy.
Okay, he's taking care of those hybrid while I'm taking care of the other train. He seems to at least be aware in that regard.
Hostile eliminated.
But yeah, he's not really pulling his own weight. He's he's mostly letting me solo the trains, where he's sort of stumbling in the dark. I'm not sure he knows what he's doing actually. He's floating 3,000 minerals, and if he's not confident in his legionnaires, he should at least make a bunch of photon cannons at this point, at this location, so that he has a bit of damage output and detection while he's working on it. He does have a pylon, but yeah, he should have a bunch of cannons at this location.
The enemy advances on our allies' base.
Okay, at least he's doing
Warehouses should be looking real empty right now. Not too many trains left to go.
I mean, he should have done this. I think 10 minutes into the game, when they should have mattered. And now that he's at 150 supply. Yeah, now he's researching +3 or level 3 weapons upgrades, whereas yeah, I'm maxed out and finishing the game with the last train. I'm not actually sure he knows that it's the last train. See, it's 8 out of 9, and he's He's only at 150 supply. GG.
Your allies' base is besieged.
I already called GG and he's... Yeah, I don't even notice that I killed the trains.
None can stand the might of the pure.
I don't think he even noticed that I finished it off.
That's a done deal. Been a pleasure working.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. If you have an idea for what else I can do, please leave a comment. And yeah, I quadrupled the skills and the strain damage. See you.